Most men believe they must impress, chase, or persuade a woman to love them. They assume attraction is built on words, tactics, or proving their worth. But love does not function this way. A man who feels the need to convince a woman of his value has already placed himself in a losing position. Seeking external validation only reveals a void within, a lack of self-assurance that no amount of approval can truly fill. You do not chase what is meant for you. Instead, you become the kind of man who naturally attracts it. A woman is not drawn to desperation, nor does she admire a man who molds himself to win her approval. What captivates her is presence, an unwavering sense of self, a quiet confidence that requires no performance. A man who is secure in who he is, who does not fear rejection or loss, commands a respect that cannot be ignored. He does not ask for permission to be desired, nor does he beg for attention. He simply exists as his authentic self, and that alone is enough. You cannot dictate how someone feels about you, but you can control the kind of man you become. When you develop self-mastery, cultivate inner strength, and embody depth and wisdom, attraction is no longer something you chase. It becomes a natural consequence of your being. So instead of asking, "How can I make her love me?" ask yourself, "How can I become a man who inspires love effortlessly?" A man who lacks control over himself will always be controlled by outside forces. He will be led by emotions, dictated by impulses, and distracted by fleeting desires. He will confuse temporary pleasure with fulfillment and superficial attraction with love. And in doing so, he will never truly be in command of his own relationships. True strength comes from within, and only when a man masters himself can he shape the world around him rather than be shaped by it. How can a man lead if he is enslaved by his own weaknesses? A man who lacks self-mastery will always seek validation from others, convinced that his worth is measured by external approval rather than his true essence. He will mistake attention for love, endure disrespect in the name of patience, and act not from confidence but from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of loneliness, fear of being inadequate. But fear is the enemy of strength, and a man ruled by it will never command respect. To master oneself is to remain unshaken in the face of temptation, to resist the fleeting pull of emotions, and to act not from impulse but from wisdom. It is to understand that no external force, no woman, no validation, no romantic conquest can complete a man who is already whole. True mastery is the development of an internal compass so strong that even when confronted with beauty, charm, or desire, a man remains grounded. A man who has mastered himself does not beg for love, does not cling to attention, and does not crumble under rejection. He knows that his value is intrinsic, not dependent on another's approval. Because he does not seek completion outside himself, he becomes a force that naturally draws others in, not through need, but through the quiet confidence of his presence. A man who approaches life from a place of need will always be a prisoner to his desires. The more he craves, the more he repels. The more he clings, the more it slips away. This is the natural order of things. What is pursued runs, what is demanded resists, and what is desperately sought loses its worth. It is not attraction that pushes a woman away, it is the fear of losing her. It is not attention that weakens a man, it is his dependence on it. A man who needs nothing is a man who commands everything, not through manipulation but through the quiet power of his presence. He does not beg, he does not chase, and he does not break under the weight of desire. Neediness is built on the illusion that something external holds the key to fulfillment. But the man who believes he requires another to feel complete has already given away his strength. True power comes not from seeking, but from being. A man who is whole within himself has nothing to prove and nothing to fear. He is not choosing her. He is seeking shelter in her. He is not engaging in the dance of attraction. He is pleading to be chosen, and no one admires a beggar. A woman does not want to be the foundation of a man's self-worth, for that is a burden, not a gift. She does not want to be the solution to his emptiness, for that is dependence, not love. True confidence is not arrogance, and detachment is not indifference. They are simply the recognition that no external force should have control over one's inner world. When a man moves through life without need, he moves with freedom. He does not fear loss because his sense of self is not tied to what he possesses. And because of this, the world naturally gravitates toward him. True power belongs to the one who does not seek it. A man without purpose is like a ship without a rudder, adrift, at the mercy of the wind and tide. He is not led by his own will, but by the expectations of others, by fleeting distractions, by the comfort that lulls him into stagnation. And in this aimlessness, he loses the very strength that makes him formidable. A man with no direction searches for fulfillment in things that can never truly satisfy: attention, affection, temporary pleasures. He seeks validation in the eyes of others because he has not yet found it within himself. He does not desire love because he is whole, but because he is empty, believing that another can fill what only he has the power to complete. But no one respects a man who is lost within himself. A woman is not drawn to a man because he chases her. She is drawn to him because he is already moving towards something greater than himself. She does not follow because he asks her to. She follows because she sees that he walks a path with conviction, with purpose, with unwavering certainty. A man consumed by his vision, dedicated to his craft and driven by his destiny, is truly attractive, not because he seeks approval, but because his life carries meaning. His presence is not defined by neediness, but by the strength of his foundation. Purpose is what shapes a man into something more than just another presence in the world. It is the fire that burns away weakness, the discipline that sharpens his resolve, the force that makes him unwavering. A man who has found his purpose does not beg for love. Love becomes a natural byproduct of his existence. A man who does not command respect will always find himself in a position of weakness. Respect cannot be demanded, nor is it freely given simply because one desires it. It is earned through action, through unwavering character, through the strength of one's principles. A man who lacks respect for himself invites the world to treat him the same way. If he tolerates mistreatment, he teaches others that it is acceptable. If he allows himself to be disregarded, he signals that he is unworthy of consideration. The world does not define a man's value, he does. It is he who sets the standard for how he will be seen, how he will be treated, and ultimately, how he will be remembered. A man who carries himself with dignity does not seek validation because he understands that true worth is not determined by fleeting opinions. He does not chase approval, knowing that the validation of the weak holds no real value. Nor does he conform to the expectations of those who lack principle, for he is not swayed by the shifting tides of popular opinion. Instead, he operates from a foundation of inner strength, an unshakable core that cannot be compromised. He speaks with intention, moves with purpose, and stands firm in the face of adversity. He is neither reckless nor afraid. His confidence comes from self-mastery, not from the approval of others. A woman does not admire a man who begs for her attention, nor does she respect one who allows himself to be diminished. She is drawn to a man who understands his worth without needing to prove it, who does not tolerate disrespect, and who does not fear loss because he knows that compromising his dignity would mean betraying himself. A man who cannot control his emotions has surrendered his power to the world around him. Like a flame flickering in the wind, he is at the mercy of every passing disturbance, ruled by impulse rather than wisdom. A man who allows anger to dictate his reactions, who lets disappointment consume him, who is swayed by fleeting desires. Such a man is not in control of himself, and without self-control, he can never command the respect of others. A woman is not drawn to instability. She does not admire a man who lashes out in frustration, crumbles under pressure, or allows his emotions to dictate his actions instead of his principles. Strength is not the absence of emotion, it is the ability to master it. A man who remains composed in the face of insult, who does not let rejection or failure define him, who refuses to be shaken by temporary setbacks. This is the man who naturally commands attention without demanding it. He is neither cold nor weak. He is not indifferent, but he is not controlled. His power lies in his ability to remain steady, to act with purpose, and to move through life on his own terms. And because of this, he does not seek respect, he earns it. Emotional mastery is not about suppressing feelings. It is about understanding them. It is the ability to recognize that emotions like anger, jealousy, and insecurity are temporary and hold no real power unless he allows them to take control. The man who commands his emotions is the man who commands his destiny. A man who seeks love before he has mastered himself will always find himself in a position of weakness. He does not enter a relationship as an equal, but as someone hoping to be completed by another. He looks to a woman to give him purpose, validation, and a sense of meaning that he has not yet discovered within himself. In doing so, he surrenders his power. He becomes dependent on her affection, fearful of her absence, and willing to compromise his own dignity just to secure her approval. A man like this is not a source of strength. He becomes a burden. He does not stand beside her as an equal, but clings to her, hoping she will sustain him. But no woman can truly respect a man who does not first respect himself. Before seeking to share himself with another, a man must first become whole. He must cultivate his own mind, discipline, and purpose. He must develop himself into something strong, not as a strategy to attract others, but because strength, wisdom, and discipline are their own rewards. A man who is committed to self-mastery does not chase attention, nor does he fear solitude. He understands that solitude is not a punishment. It is a place of growth where he sharpens his mind, strengthens his character, and builds the resilience to remain steady in the face of life's challenges. A woman is not drawn to a man who needs her. She is drawn to a man who is complete with or without her. She does not desire a man who clings to her for security, but one who commands respect by the way he carries himself. A man who moves through life with quiet confidence, deeply rooted in his purpose, does not seek validation. He naturally draws others in through the sheer force of his presence. If you found value in this message, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support allows me to continue creating content that challenges common misconceptions and brings you insights that others often overlook.